Sup, David? Do you do you just like have YouTube on all the time and then like when I start streaming you just like instantly on the channel? How do you get on so fast? How does that work? Nutritionalist, if you're still intent on watching Man in the Heist Castle, I actually watched the entire thing. Though not 100% focused. I was playing poker while I just leave on stuff. That's what I did. Um, but yeah. Wait, so then does it show up on your phone or like um are you on your like TV already and then it just kind of like turns on? A Kempetai building gets blown up and it couldn't stop cackling. Well, it's fictional, so, I don't think there were actual Kempetai buildings in San Francisco in real life. Alerts show up on your phone. Okay. Phone, you always stream whenever I work. Wait, nutritionalist, are you in New York? It's Sunday right now. You're working on a 9:30 p.m. Hi, Doug. Like and subscribe. Wait, I don't get it. I'm actually on my treadmill while watching you. Oh, okay, interesting. You see that Mike Kim put out a new episode? Will you reach on Carrie Lucy? Carrie Lucy. That's good. That's good. I mean, I'll 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 yeah, I'm gonna well, never mind the fact that I am moving to New York in a few weeks, so that would be impossible anyway. But no, I am not going to be ever joining that. I thought I kind of made that kind of clear um in talking about why I was kicked off KTSC in the first place. That's the other thing too. I was kicked off, it wasn't like I just left. Um and so no, I will not be joining KTSC. But you know what? I wish them well. I wish them well. I honestly could not care less. You know what I mean? If they did well, if they don't do well, right? Because the thing is, KTSC is no longer what, you know, me, Ed, and Young and even Mike, right? We made it into this specific thing that was supposed to be about, geopolitics, Korean Americans, talking every week about different events that were going on. Um, you know, and it's no longer that. I don't know what he wanted, that was characterized like even before I left, right? Like, or when I was kicked off the first time, right? He wanted to make it this variety thing that didn't make sense at all. So, that's why I was like, well, not part of this. And, and so it's just kind of like it's a different category of, substance altogether, right? So it's just like, even if it succeeds, right? If KTSC goes viral, whatever, you know, I highly doubt that it will, but like, let's say it does, right? It'll occupy a different space than what I'm trying to do entirely. So I honestly couldn't care less how it does, whatever. Obviously it'd be funny if obviously I'm not going to say that if it just like falls on its face. I'm not going to enjoy a good short and Freud laugh about it. But at the same time, again, like all these haters, they like think that they're the main character of my story. I have like 20 different people like Mike Kim, right? Like Mike Kim isn't the only Mike Kim around. You know, there are so many different people like Mike Kim that just want to see me burn, crash and burn, right? I actually don't harbor the same thing because honestly, like that's the thing. They want me to crash and burn because they know that, you know, left to my own devices, I won't crash and burn. But to me, I'm just kind of like, I don't care because I already think they're going to crash and burn or whatever, or I already see the limits of what they can do and accomplish. So I have no need to even think about it, right? Like it's just like, when it's kind of like when Hegel talks about the master slave dialectic, the need for recognition. The people that kind of like try to negate something and make negating someone their entire existence and identity. The reason why they're doing it is because they themselves have no positive value, right? Because if they did have positive value, they wouldn't even care about me. They'd just do their positive value and get tons of views and be successful and run super successful show, whatever, right? Like the other successful shows on Radio Korea, right? But it's just kind of like for me, I don't, yeah, I'll trash a KTSC, whatever, like after, whatever. But then I don't really care about it after I'm done trashing it, right? Like I've trashed in June. And then after that, I was like, you know what, whatever. People in the chat like to bring it up too, right? Like, it's funny, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I'll kind of like entertain it for a joke or two. But as far as like actually caring about KTSC, like, again, guys, like, I don't need to like think about KTSC anymore, right? Like you like trying to criticize KTSC now at this juncture, it just like gives KTSC more validation, right? You're actually doing the negating that's making KTSC into a thing now. So like my thing is just like, I don't care, I've moved on. It's been over a year. I'm moving to I'm moving to New York City. I don't really want to talk about Kate. I literally do not. Like, yes, it was funny. Ha ha ha. Yes, running joke, Yosop, whatever. Like, oh, KTSC still, it was a funny running joke. But at this point, it's just like why? Why are we still doing this? It's over, right? You're just like digging up this grave. Like to me, it's already buried, right? You're just like digging up this grave and making like, all right, I don't want to fucking look at this decayed body anymore. Like it's not even interesting to me. I've got I've got people to mourn. That's the whole thing. I have so many fucking, like people try to like insult me or slander me or whatever. I'm like, I don't fucking care. People in my life are dying, right? Like children in Gaza are dying, and people like bringing up these petty shit. And I'm like, let's fucking grow up, it's just like, Jesus Christ. I don't know. Anyway, 39 years of my existence. When are you meeting Matt? I haven't scheduled anything with him yet. I was planning on just kind of like doing that once I was in New York and settled and kind of like had more of a stable idea of, what my life was going to be like. Cause, I'm planning on trying to like, one of the things that did open up for me, like, one of the silver linings, I guess, if you can call it that, from, my father's passing is that, because of my dad's ailments and everything, my mom really couldn't travel because like, or she didn't trust my dad to be able to take care of himself. So she couldn't really travel. Because my dad couldn't travel. He had kidney failure, so he needed dialysis. So they needed to schedule that if they needed to travel. So he actually didn't travel for the last, I think, like year or so of his life when he had kidney failure. And so I'm planning on trying to take my mom to China because, like, as you know, a lot of Korean boomers her age are very anti-China. But she's never actually been to the mainland before. She's never even been to Hong Kong before. Not that I have either, but I was just kind of like, hey, maybe I can China pill her, and, see what she thinks, go to these things. And so, once I'm back in New York, I'm going to be trying to plan like a China trip, these other kind of things, and try to, finally make the merchandise. I know Andrew was looking to buy one of the Kim's shirts. I'm gonna be trying to figure out and more streamline that kind of stuff. Um, my mind right now, to be honest, like I said, I've said this before on a previous thing, but I kind of have senioritis. I kind of like not really motivated to do anything, and obviously with the events of the past couple weeks, unfortunately, I haven't done any work on the WMA for Mind virus video yet. I want to kind of do some basic editing before I leave, though, just to figure out how long it's actually going to take, by just doing some of the first few steps. But yeah, like, for now, I'm just kind of like taking it a little easy, and just kind of just doing a lot of reading. I feel like that's kind of been an effective distractor for my time recently. So with the Matt Kim thing, I'll try to figure that out once I'm in New York. So Doug Kim X Matt Kim show in Georgia. I did notice though that his solo show, as much as I didn't really agree with Peter Saddington's kind of like opinions and whatever, he did provide some, color commentary and, a sounding board to kind of, I feel like, I don't know, maybe maybe I'm an idiot because I'm doing this solo thing, right? I've been just doing it the entire time. But yeah, I kind of watched a few minutes and I was like, oh, it's all right, but it kind of missing that flavor. And I think maybe, I don't know, maybe a show with both of us might be an interesting thing. I don't know. What do you think of Ed Choi kissing Mamdani's ass for speaking Chinese? Again, like you guys know my position on Ed. It's just kind of like he's a lib. And he's a TikTok influencer. He's got to do something for the cash, and I get it. So like I'm not gonna. It's like you guys already know what my take is gonna be, right? It's just like, yeah, he's a lib, saying lib shit. Obviously, you already know my take on who Mamdani is. So I don't know. It just feels like, I don't know. I don't want this thing to be this thing where I'm just like, what do you think of this person's, said about this or whatever? And I'm just kind of like, do we really need to litigate that? I mean, you already kind of know what I'm going to say, right? I mean, I don't know. Exactly. KTSC is let's not speak ill of the dead. Exactly. Let's not speak ill of the dead, right? It's just kind of like, at some point you're just kind of like, you kind of look like now you look like the obsessed one, right? Like, it's funny because like, when they negate me or whatever, when I don't even talk about them or whatever, that actually makes it, they look actually more unhinged. But then like, if you guys are like keep talking about KTSC, then we look like the unhinged one. Like, it's just kind of like, it's over. It's KTSC. I'm fucking over it. You know what I mean? Yosep Huang. Yosep Huang just watches my stream just to ask that. Have you ever visited Nanjing? No, I haven't, but that was kind of like on my list of possible destinations if I did a Shanghai, Beijing trip, because I think it's kind of in the middle. But yeah. I thought I was the only one with Peter's takes. What do you mean you're the only one with Peter's takes? Can you talk about the Cambridge professor Jason Arde who resigned due to plagiarism? I mean, didn't he commit suicide? Yeah, he committed suicide a couple days ago. To be honest, I haven't really kept up with that. I obviously saw the story on my timeline and feed and all that stuff. I don't really know anything about him, so I feel like I'm not really qualified to comment on that. Well, we'll say that, anytime a suicide happens, it's tragic, right? I don't advocate for celebrating anyone's death, unless they celebrated or advocated for my death. Just kidding. But seriously, on a serious note, like I don't know this person. I've never heard of this person before for this controversy. So again, I can't really comment on something I don't really know about. Greatness take time. Take your time with the WMF virus. Yeah, I will. I'm not gonna rush it out if I don't feel like it's ready. And the other thing too is, like this title says. Oh wait, I didn't edit it on my Twitch stream. Not that it really matters, but like my YouTube stream says, I'm on a Twitter vacation. Some of you may know this from my Discord. But apparently saying getting rid of Japanese population and 100% of Japanese population in Japan would get rid of 100% of Asia's problems was a tweet that got me 30 days in the tank. So got 28 days left. So I won't be on Twitter. So I feel like I've got at least until, September 14th, right? Because I feel like if I want to release it, I want to also release it on Twitter, right? Like I want to have all the fucking ducks in a row to release it all so that the maximum kind of thing can happen at the same time. So I am kind of all right, I'm not going to I don't have to finish it by the 31st or whatever, because I can't even release it on my Twitter at that point. So I'm all right, I got another 2 weeks or whatever to think about it. But I do want to get some of that work on the ground. I'm kind of figuring out, last week, I'm also figuring out also moving stuff and kind of figuring out, giving away some stuff, getting rid of some stuff. Yeah, I sold my gun last week because, New York is pretty restrictive. Just trying to get rid of stuff that I'm not going to bring with me to New York. But yeah, I got some sentimental crap that I don't know. I feel like I still want to take along with me. I just got to figure out, it's going to cost me a lot of money or not. Anyway, Kim vs. Kim should be the name of the show. Maybe 100% Chevy. I need to mentally prep myself. Need my undivided attention. Gonna attempt a 36-hour fast. Exactly. We all know Ed is Boba. It's yeah. It's just and that's the thing too. Even if he did change his views, for real, he'd still have to fucking make lib shit to make money. Cause, as most of you know, saying my shit doesn't get a lot of followers, doesn't get a lot of views, right? He's the one with 500K, 600K followers on TikTok. I'm the one with 60, right? Not that I put that much content on TikTok. I just put shorts of my Breaking Bad documentary. But, it's kind of I never got into this to get views, or as I say all the time, I never did this to like make money or get views or whatever. I just want to, tell the truth, tell what I see as truth, and and I'm still figuring a lot of that stuff out. I'm still reading. I'm still, I've been reading Heidegger recently. I've been reading Richard Wagner. I've been reading another book about Gaza. This is Finkelstein's book on Gaza about Operation Cast Lead, which happened in 2008. And the things that happened after that. And I'm reading a biography on Hegel. I'm halfway through that. So, I'm still kind of I'm still learning, right? I don't pretend to know or have all the answers. I'm just trying to share everything as I learned them, even this WMF mind virus thing. There's a lot of stuff that I found out that I didn't know 4, 3, 4, 5 years ago, right? I'm just trying to do the research find out new information that nobody knows or whatever, or nobody's like kind of assembled in a way that I'm trying to assemble in it, and then I'm trying to fucking share that, right? Because I think, I don't know, my whole thing is just like, as a, even when I was a kid, I hated being lied to, right? And the biggest thing was just like the Korean War, right? Learning about the Korean War was the biggest, like, oh shit, I was lied to, and that created this, like, I need to fucking get the truth out there. So that's the thing that motivates me. Obviously, Ed has different parameters. That's, I think it's his main source of income or whatever. The other thing too is that I've heard from another TikTok creator that ever since the Larry Ellison takeover, whatever, he noticed his revenue dropped a lot, like very significantly, like 90%. And he's kind of a lib too, so, but he's a little bit less lib, if that makes sense. So I can see why you'd want to stay more lib, right? Anyway, I have the same opinion on Peter's takes because they are out there. Ed Choi, latest video, he's balling out. What do you mean balling out? What's balling out? I see more and more Asian girls complaining about white guys not treating them well. On TikTok or Facebook, Instagram, Twitter? JJJ. Yep. The JJJ Alliance. The triple J. The triple J. The 3J. J3. The J3. I'm trying to think of a good... The Trinity of J's. The J Trinity. The J Train. Anyway. Sanjay. It should be a Pan J because it's all the J's. Pan J. Sanjay is like, that makes me think of like the French sans, like without J. So I'll be going to Chengdu at the end of the year and see if I gain a travel permit to visit Tibet at the end of the year. Okay. What do you think about Super El Nino? I don't know what that is. So, I don't think about it, I guess. I don't know. Are we fucked? Are we going to get fucked? If you said that about Chinese people, you probably get some money. What would I say about Chinese people to get money? Saying stuff about Japs can get you a warning on it. Saying stuff on the Japs, get you fucking banned. Let's get you fucking banned. I guess I should stop. I guess like if I have the urge to say something, I just use my nuclear imperial Japanese flag as a troll because that didn't get reported or that doesn't get fucking flagged. So yeah. Should have moved to Georgia, can keep your gun. Yeah, the thing about Georgia though is that it's fucking, like I said last time, I can't do fucking muggy. That's a muggy ass place. And I don't really I only have like a few people I know in Georgia. Yeah. Did you hear about the Wendy's girl getting fired for saying free Palestine to a Jewish person? He's asking for a hate crime. Didn't she get like a GoFundMe or something and they all gave her like hundreds of thousands of dollars? It's like, oh great, like I don't have to work at Wendy's anymore. Go lib or go home. Instagram red note since the white guy in China get their girl pregnant. Oh, so it's Chinese people or it's Chinese girls, right? It's not like Asian American girls, right? JJJ Jigga booing. Ed is crying for 5 minutes about not being able to help people in ICE. People are calling him out for being... I mean, look. I'm not a huge fan of emoting on social media. Because I just feel like, yeah, emoting on social media is performative. It's not just Ed. Like anyone who just does it, I'm just kind of like, you could have waited that you calm down and then make an actual post about what you want to say, but now you're deliberately using kind of like emotion to, try to appeal to emotion, right? That's essentially an appeal to emotion, which is, in my opinion, a rhetorical fallacy. And you guys know how I feel about those kinds of things. I just don't like using any sort of like irrational sort of thing to bolster an argument. And it's just kind of like, there's just so much shit going on, that it's like, what, you're gonna cry about everything and then put that on social media. I'm just kind of like, but whatever. I don't really know what happened, or I don't even know the post, so I can't. Again, you guys are asking me about all this shit that I haven't seen, so I don't know. Saying the protective Asians to Japs. Humidity definitely is a biatch. Yo, Mr. Kim, I am loving your latest streams. You seem much more happier and healthier lately. Really? Watermelons? I mean, I don't know. My dad just died, so I don't know if I'm happier and healthier. I don't know. Maybe humor is my trauma response to things, and so I seem a little bit more upbeat than normal. Again, like I said, I don't like to emote, but rest assured, I am pretty depressed. I guess maybe since my baseline is being depressed all the time, I've already learned how to like mask it so it doesn't look like I'm depressed. But rest assured, no matter what you see on social media or whatever, I am probably some sort of baseline depressed. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the happier I seem, the more depressed I am. Who knows? Maybe it's just like a self-negating sort of strategy. I don't fucking know. I'm being too meta with this right now. But welcome to the channel, I guess. Well, I don't think I've seen you before. It's annoying some Jap account about something along the lines of "we cannot coexist." In this video, then replied, "Wait, so did you get that? Was enough to get my account receive a warning? What? That's fucking bullshit. It was just a GIF of the atomic bomb." See, that's why you got to use my flag, It's just, it's just kind of obscure enough to be like, wait, what does that mean exactly? Because technically, the rising sun, right? It's technically a nuclear reaction, right? The sun is, hydrogen atoms fusing into helium atoms, right? And that causes fusion, which causes, lots of heat expansion. So technically, the rising sun flag with the nuclear center could just be about the rising sun being nuclear, it can be read a lot of different ways. Maybe I'm like, hey, you got a rising sun going on. It's very nuclear looking. Ray Kazu gave me a heart. I don't know what for, but thank you. Taurus behaving badly. Let's keep it light. Let's keep what light? Kind of what Robin Williams went through. Well, Robin Williams, that was a little depressing. I'm not going to lie. I remember where I was when I heard about Robin Williams. I forgot what it's called, but it was like a restaurant. They served like kebab skewers, chicken skewers. Pretty good place. I was outside. It was 2014, and I was on my phone. I was like, oh, Robin Williams committed suicide. As someone who's read stuff like, Flowers for Algernon and, what is the other one? Well, they didn't turn retarded in this one, but of Mice and Men, I'm always kind of like, yeah, if I feel like I'm losing it, I don't know. Probably wouldn't do what Robin Williams did, but I understand. I understand the impulse, right? I understand the thing there. Very sad, obviously, but yes, people like Robin Williams or Jim Carrey. They are very depressed because the thing about comedy, if you really think about it, like I've been reading Hegel and it's been contextualizing a little bit more for me, but like think about art in general, right? Art is kind of like the human being, right? The human mind is seeing reality, right? I see all of reality. Let's say I'm an artist, right? I'm in the world, I see reality. I see how reality is. And then I create a story, right? Or I create an artwork. The reason people like to see that artwork is because it's different from reality, right? It's because it's this idealized version of reality that are like, oh, that's beautiful. That's like a cool thing I captured or whatever. Like even if it's a photograph, right? Even if it's a photograph capturing some piece of reality, it's still this idealized like photograph of like this perfect moment, that's kind of like captured in this photograph, right? And so it's kind of like the artist is capturing some sort of idealized version of reality, that's not in reality, and that's why it's art, or that's why other people like appreciate it or whatever. And so when Hegel talks about art in general, about like especially in context of his whole thing is that art represents what a society worships, right? What a society kind of like thinks is ideal, right? Or divine. Began with like pyramids, right? Or statues or whatever. And so he talks about the Greek kind of epic, right? And how it's about like reality and how humans interacted with each other. It's this whole drama, and it's kind of like saying that ultimately fate or the gods are in control, right? And then it kind of like goes into tragedy after that, and saying that the gods are in control, but the humans are kind of in control too, and there's this kind of like contradiction or whatever in this tragedy. And then finally, the last one is the comedy, where they realized, oh, the gods don't have any power. It's all about man, whatever. And so the reason why comedy or comedians have such depressed, I guess, inner lives is because they've already gone through the stage where, they've seen that there is no like, meaning to anything. That's why they go into the comedy thing where in Hegel's version of the comedy, it's about like, oh, the actor has a mask on, but he takes off the mask and he makes fun of the mask, and he's like, no, I'm the actual actor in this reality. There is no God. There is no moral center or whatever. Like, I'm the person that's existing in this reality. It talks about the beautiful soul, etc., etc. And so it makes sense, right? Like, because if you think about it, comedians, the reason why they're funny is because they see reality, and then they see what reality should be, right? They're making jokes about, like, isn't this absurd? Why do we do it like this? Why do we have, like, I'm sure, like, when Luigi Mangione happened, right? I'm sure there was a lot of jokes about, like, why is that bad, right? Or why is that, prosecutor or whatever, And so when you're at the top of your game, when you're Robin Williams, when you're Jim Carrey, you are actively kind of like dissecting what is absurd about reality, what is absurd about society, what can I point out that's hilarious about it? So, but then afterwards, after we've all had a good laugh about it and nothing changes, then they become depressed. They're like, I said all that, or I did all that. I showed how absurd everything is, but nothing fucking changes. So yeah, I'm going to fucking be depressed, right? So, I don't know. Let's see. Trump is apparently ordering Pentagon scale back war games. Lee Jae-myung is seeking renewed dialogue and coexistence with North Korea. How do you think this gets sabotaged? So what I think happened, or what I've read, I haven't been online as much. Kind of been so 5 years ago, when I was also depressed about life, had an ego death about life, whatever. I just kind of like resorted to just watching shows, even shows that I watched already, or just like watching things on. I think that's kind of like probably my comfort food or whatever, because like that's basically what I did growing up. I learned about, I guess, human interaction by just watching TV shows or movies or playing video games like JRPGs or whatever, just getting like immersed in a story or whatever. So I've been kind of just like rewatching Severance or shows that I like or whatever. So I haven't been too on top of what's been going on. But I do know that apparently what happened was that I think Trump wanted South Korea's assistance with the Iran stuff, like the Strait of Hormuz stuff, and then Korea was like, how about no? And so I don't know what came first, Trump's kind of like thing or this Lee Jae-myung thing, but apparently what happened is that Trump was like, we're no longer, participating in military exercises with South Korea, because I got a good relationship with, Kim Jong-un and blah, blah, blah. I think it's this retarded kind of like move to try to like make South Korea scared or whatever, that like, oh no, my American protection is going. But the funny part about it is that Lee Jae-myung is already kind of like pro-China. So the more pro-China you are, the more kind of like negotiation you're probably going to be able to do with North Korea, right? And B, the fact of the matter is that like for the past 30 or so years, North Korea, like we've already said so far on this channel, is that like it's already been in a defensive position since it couldn't win a conventional war against South Korea, right? So, and a couple of years ago, Kim Jong-un blew up roads, right? To not to prevent, but to make a forward invasion a lot more hard to kind of accomplish, right? So then Lee Jae-myung is already aware of this, right? And Trump is retarded. He probably doesn't know what any of this means. But Lee Jae-myung is kind of like, all right, whatever. So I think like Lee Jae-myung is like, all right, let's just make better relations with North Korea then, like whatever, fine. I don't know if it's going to get sabotaged. I don't know how it's going to look, but the fact of the matter is, I think all of America's attention right now is on Iran, because it's just like a situation that's not going away, right? It's a situation where I think they even had to pull the USS Abraham Lincoln or whatever, one of them, because like one of the fucking carriers, George Washington or something, was out at sea for over 60 days and sailors were fucking diving overboard and shit, and like, those moldy shit. There was women didn't have tampons or something. It was like fucking crazy, where now the only carrier that was in the area was, the one in the Pacific, and now it had to go to relieve the USS George Washington. So I think this is just like desperate posturing by Trump and his administration. And I think like South Korea, it'll be interesting. I haven't followed it as closely as I should have, But I suspect that South Korea, China, and North Korea might be in kind of like secret talks, secret underground, maybe I'm being a little optimistic. Maybe I'm but it's definitely possible that there might be like, back channeling and stuff like that going on. Be like, yeah, this is not what we signed up for, right? Like, we just want to make money. We just want to, have safety. That's like kind of South Korea, like, the pragmatic side of South Korea, right? Like, I'm sure even the Chebbles are like, you know what? Our stock market is fucking tanking. We might as well get China's chips or whatever. Like, we are in no position to fucking have our economy tank by not trading with China and whatever and normalizing relations. So I think the economic situation is changing the calculus a little bit in the geopolitical situation. Again, I haven't examined it. I'm talking about on my ass a little bit right now. But that would be my kind of thoughts on that whole situation. People in Korea are freaking out about Trump. One side wants to get the fuck out of Korea. The other side is afraid of, yeah. Well, the other side is retarded. If they all left tomorrow, nothing would happen. You know why? Because North Korea has no fucking interest in South Korea anymore. They already gave up, reunification. And they really don't have the capabilities to take over South Korea, even if they wanted to. It'd just be a Pyrrhic victory. They would just, that's at the end of the day, like, Korean people are Korean people. They don't want to kill Korean people, right? Especially like, yeah, in the 1960s, 1970s, when North Korea, had a little bit of an edge, yeah, there was a risk of them coming down the 38th and taking the entire thing. But now that that's kind of passed, like I've said before, in the 90s, it's like, what are they going to do? Nuke South Korea? It doesn't even fucking make sense. It's not like, America still doesn't have nuclear submarines that can, second strike North Korea. So at the end of the day, America's got the interest in occupying South Korea. That's why, the Korean government shouldn't even fucking care. Like, Lee Jae-myung shouldn't even fucking care, because it's like, yeah, we'll call your bluff. You're not leaving. You're not leaving South Korea. Like, let's be fucking real. You're not going to fucking leave your 50,000 troops and all this fucking shit. Because that's the thing. Like, America wants to maintain its forward position against China, and leaving South Korea is, giving that up for free. So Lee Jae-myung, like, people, in charge, they kind of know that Trump's full of smoke, or blowing up smoke, right? They're not going to fucking leave. You gotta be careful with some Jap accounts. If their IP is from Southeast Asia, it's likely a cheat LARPing as a Japanese girl. Great. Once again, Doug Kim did not Epstein himself. That's right. No matter how depressed I am, I always try to see the funny side of things, And again, 3 notaries, the 3 notary rule, recorded. And I also got rid of my gun, so there's another. It can't be with a gun anymore since I got rid of it. Suspect everything. Suspect everything. Right? Watermelon retracts his messages. U.S. and South Korea government have been dangling peace on the peninsula in front of Korea. So I don't know what to believe. Yeah. I wouldn't like, anything they fucking say about like pulling out, but it's just like, whatever. I was not aware of your dad's past. Sorry, I binge watched your recent streams and thought you became less black-pilled. I mean, I'm already not black-pilled about it. That's the thing. Like, on a personal level, I don't care about WMAF, right? I've had a lot of dating issues in my life, I'm not going to lie, but they are not related to racial stuff. They're just related to me being autistic. For lack of better, there's opportunities that passed me by that I didn't even know that were there. Usually I'd like the girl that didn't like me, and then the girl that I didn't like would like me. It was a lot of crossed fucking wires, lots of problems, whatever, but they're not related to fucking WM mind virus, right? And the thing is, like I said, it's going to self-correct on its own. It's already self-correcting, or it's not correcting, but like self-negating, right? Like due to China's rise, due to Asia's economic rise. You got to understand when the WMF mind virus started, the entire continent of Asia, its GDP was 5%, right? Now Asia's GDP globally, even in the fucking, clown USD numbers, it's 35%. So you had a 7x fucking share of wealth increase in Asia, right? It's already hypergamy is gonna fucking reverse that, so it doesn't fucking matter. The second thing is I started talking about it a lot in 2023 because at that point everyone had fucking abandoned me, all the fucking Asian women, whatever, I had not even talked about it that much up to that point. But I was betrayed by everyone, and all the WMA people that were in my midst anyway all betrayed me. So I was like, you know what? I don't even fucking care if anyone, I don't care how anyone thinks about this. If anyone's getting offended by fucking what I say, I don't give a shit anymore. So in 2023, that's when I started talking about it a lot, especially too because in 2023, that's when the Oxford study fucking meme came out. So I was like, oh no, I'm not going to let fucking, non-Asians try to control the narrative of what fucking happened here. My whole thing was I'm just annoyed that people talk about WMAF as if they know, that are non-Asian, that they know what they're talking about. And especially fucking Asian women who talk about WMAF. They fucking lie about it. They fucking gaslight about it. So my whole thing was setting the fucking record straight, And so, especially since it is kind of like the model for compradorship, right? It's the model for literally sleeping with the enemy, right? That cliche phrase, that is literally what it is, right? And tracing down how minority groups betray their own fucking kind for privileges, for treats, for whatever from the white man. And so it's just kind of if I deconstruct this exact model, you can fucking find applications not only just for Asian women, but, fucking AOCs of the world, right? You have your fucking Ilhan Omars of the world. You have, all these fucking women who pretend like they're fucking progressive, but at the end of the day, it's you talk about white privilege all you want, but it almost seems like you're talking from experience. Us Asian men, we ain't getting this white privilege that you're getting. That's for fucking sure, right? When a Francesca Hong is oh, I get white privilege through my son. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's this fucking mental illness. I just fucking hate when people just have public mental illness, and then it makes Asians look bad because now people associate this fucking bullshit mental illness with Asian Americans in general. And it ain't us. It ain't us. You know what I mean? Anyway. What else is going? Kim Jong-un officially declared the ROK a separate hostile state in the Constitution. Yeah. That happened a year and a half ago, I think, right? Maybe that's why the Austrian painter failed. He was not able to capture that idealized dream. So, I'm not an artist, but apparently the Austrian painter had very fundamental things wrong with his paintings. A lot of his paintings were architecture related, but they apparently didn't even follow some of the rules of like basic perspective stuff. So it wasn't even like good architecture. Like he was making watercolors of like fucking like places in Vienna, whatever, to make ends meet. He wasn't like a brilliant artist himself. But he did love Richard Wagner, which is why I'm reading Richard Wagner's work. Kim Jong-un has it out for America. I don't think he really does. I don't think he really cares about America at this point. It's just kind of like, I feel like people in North Korea just like look at America and be like, well, looks like they're self-imploding. You know? Ulchi Freedom Shield? What's Ulchi Freedom Shield? It's starting tomorrow, so it's kind of ridiculous to expect dialogue when war games continue. Watching shows while eating chicken parmesan. Watching what shows? Imagine being stationed in South Korea now, going to Iran to fight an actual war. Japs don't have this kind of calculus. It's going full retard with siding with Westoids contain China. Japs are retarded, you know. They are just like, or at least the ones that comment on fucking Twitter, like they're just like willfully retarded. And it's surprising because like you'd think that Asian people would be smarter, but they're kind of dumb. North Korean people are indeed Asian. Save that money. Fuck the okay, yeah. It's that island of dwarf pirates. Well, don't want to say anything about that. Don't want to get banned on Netflix. I mean YouTube rather. Sorry, not Netflix. Sup, Real NYP checking in. U.S. is losing a war with Iran and wants a war with China. I don't think it wants a war with China, but I don't even fucking know what it wants to do, to be honest. Seeing you become unblackpill about WMF, even if it's very inspiring. I was never blackpilled though. That's the thing. Like I was never black. I understand there's a lot of Asian men who are blackpilled. I guess I do have empathy for Asian men though, right? There are Asian men who this does affect, right? Like, for better or worse, I understand that I'm a tall, I have, funds. I'm advantaged in a lot of ways in the dating market, right? So I understand my experience is not the typical Asian male experience. And so with that, I understand the plight of other Asian men who, yeah, it's kind of like I said, being an Asian man sometimes feels like, you're fucking a farmer in Oregon Trail, right? You got to caulk the wagon. You got to get dysentery once in a while. You get a broken foot or whatever, and you get syphilis. I don't fucking know. But you try to make it to Oregon. Sometimes you don't make it, right? So I understand the plight of a lot of Asian men. So I guess any sort of black-pilledness is more empathy, right? It's more empathy for the people who kind of like are not very tall or not very rich or not very good looking, right? Not to say that I'm like that good looking, but I think I'm above average, right? So again, I'm not black-pilled because of, for personal reasons or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm more black-pilled because like, yeah, well, I guess I'm black-pilled in the sense that like, this is how Asian men don't have a voice. This is how the Asian community doesn't have a voice. This is how we're kind of like excluded from all of fucking the participation of like civic society, right? I can kind of like the Asian men who actually make it in American society, they make it on their own fucking merits, right? They've made it despite fucking anti-Asian racism. They've made it to, fucking Jensen Huangs of the world, that doctor in LA, that's a billionaire or whatever. Even the DoorDash guy, right? The billionaire guys. They made it because of their own objective fucking skill, right? Whereas every Asian woman's success story in America, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the proof is in the fucking pudding, right? Like every Asian male created thing in Hollywood was due to that Asian male being fucking excellent, right? The Justin Lin, Better Luck Tomorrow, him getting a fucking career in Fast and Furious off that movie. That was all based off his own fucking talent and skill, right? Or even Steven Yeun, being the executive producer for Minari, or even fucking, all the stuff that's created by Asian men in Hollywood. That required skill and talent, right? Like even Crazy Rich Asians, right? The guy was an Asian guy who wrote the fucking book, right? What else is there? Like Asian women in American media or American politics or American business. There's no Asian woman who got there based on her own objective talent. Now, there are Chinese women in China that are billionaires and successful and did it on their own. But as far as Asian American women in America, that's not with an Asian man. I mean, that's not with a white man. Like, name me any success story about an Asian woman who's not with a white man in America. Name me one. Name me one. And the thing about those Asian men who do succeed, they usually date Asian women too, or get married to Asian women. I think Jensen Huang is married to a white woman. But like a lot of these Asian men who are objectively successful, they keep it in the fucking family. So it's just kind of like, I'm more pointing out, I'm not black-pilled about it. I'm more pointing out the hypocrisy behind it. I'm more pointing out the bullshit behind it and the obvious fucking, grift behind it, I'm more about like revealing the fucking truth, the truth that needs to be told. It's kind of like, I guess like, it's kind of like I'm the lawyer for Asian men, if that makes sense, right? Like I care about it because it's a cause that I'm a pro bono lawyer, right? Like I'm doing this pro bono work, not just for Asian men, but for Asian Americans as a whole, right? Because this keeps us all down too, right? To have these fucking women in media and journalism and fucking whatever talking shit about not just Asian men, but about Asian communities or Confucian societies or patriarchal fucking bullshit nonsense. This is what I'm fucking fighting against, It's not just about like, oh, I want to said that I'm not dating a fucking white woman. That's zero in my fucking mind. I don't fucking care about white women. Or I don't care about this fucking bullshit. Or I only care about these fucking women that chase white dick all the time. They're already mentally fucking ill, in my opinion. So I don't fucking even care about but what I do care about is how they fucking talk about us, how they have all this fucking control over the narrative of Asian America, how they fucking lie about all this shit, and how they are literally helping the American empire against China. So like, yeah, I'm going to fucking call it out. I don't have to be black-pilled about it to fucking talk about it. People in Korea People in Korea are fucking retarded. I'm sorry, your average comma. The people of South Korea, first of all, they're brainwashed, right? Because that's literally what the South Korean government was. It was a fascist dictatorship for 50 years, almost 40 to 50 years, 45 years, right? Since 1948 until the early 90s, they were fucking fascist. They disappeared leftists all the time, even anti-communist leftists. They would disappear. They would, never hear from shit people again. They would disappear people all the fucking time, And so I don't really care what South Koreans think, because a lot of them are just fucking retarded and drank the Kool-Aid. And it's not their fault, right? They've been brainwashed. They've been brainwashed by the most fucking, repressive, one of the most repressive societies on Earth. It's similar to Japan in that way. South Korea and Japan are butt buddies. They're both fucking fascist dictatorships that control the flow of information. And so Trump isn't siding with North Korea. He's purposely trolling Korea. But the thing is, like I said, we already know America's never pulling out of America's never pulling out of Korea, because it has its own interests in staying in Korea, right? So, majority of liberal Philippines next to Japan when it comes to politics are kind of stupid. Well, yeah. It's the way it was designed. Fuck WMAF, this is coming from someone who doesn't care either, but let's pretend these people didn't set the narrative. Exactly. Actually, Philippines political Twitter is even more stupid than the Philippines is kind of like, South, like I said before, it's the Southeast Asian India, Like I said, just like India was a colony of Britain, Philippines was a colony of America, and that decolonization, mental decolonization, never fucking took place in both places. Because it was a function of the way they gained their independence, which was basically, in the case of India, for example, they just, how it was the British Raj and the army, the Indian army, the British Indian army. They basically gave them independence, but the same people were in fucking charge the time when it was so nothing really fucking changed. And I hadn't researched the Philippines, but I think it was similar too, where the people who actually fucking fought the Japanese, like the communist insurgents in Philippines, they were actually killed or gone after the war. And the fucking, fucking traitors were just or the people in power who probably just like rolled over were just, now their independence were led by those leaders. Again, I don't know 100% for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But I have to research the Philippines history more to be 100% sure about that. We are fighting alone. I laugh at women, Asian women, and WMF have the audacity low-key take credit. Wait, what do they even take credit for? God, that's so fucking annoying. Remember Jensen Huang is a leather jacket NVIDIA guy. Yep, that's him. That their male counterpart repressed for nearly a century, long overdue for them to take a seat. Pacified. Maybe not with that visual. Forever 21 family. That's more of a husband and wife duo. Yeah. Yeah. He's one. Call a spade, I spade. Thanks, Doug. You have to be Korean to understand. Like, let's keep it clear though. It's not like I'm saying every person in a WMAF relationship is this, right? But what I am saying is everyone in fucking Asian women in media and journalism and politics is this. Like, if you're an Asian woman and you're in media, journalism, and politics in Western society, in American society, you have WMAF mind bias. You are probably with a white man. It's just the fucking numbers. It's like 95% plus. It's like, it's just a fucking legitimate phenomena that I'm fucking gonna call out. But I'm not saying that everyone in a WMAF relationship is bad, blah, evil stuff. Like, this is like fucking retarded shit that's being projected on me all the fucking time, because people are retarded. They don't have nuance. They don't think dialectically. They can't think like, oh, their contradictions can actually be fucking happening at the same time, because they're retarded fucking Western retards who don't understand how to think like scientifically. So I don't have time for I don't have time for retards like that. You have to be Korean to understand this dynamic. And yes, it is scary how anti-communist, anti-China, anti-North Korean they are. My South Korean in-laws are all retarded now. I mean, again, like, this is why even liberal Zionists in America, I kind of, I don't like go into the whole Nazi thing, obviously, because I'm a communist and I understand all the historical, but like, how like they're like, even people on the left kind of like fall into this, oh, it's a Jew, blah blah blah, whatever. I kind of like stray away from that, not just because like, I don't want to be called a Nazi or whatever, blah blah blah, but also because like I see the same sort of programming and mental fucking colonization with South Koreans, right? So how can I say, yeah, the Jews are, uniquely just, evil, whatever, when I see the South Korean people do the same fucking thing? Because they were, they were told this narrative their entire lives, right? They were told the North Koreans were coming to kill them and what are all this fucking lies about North Korea. So I get it, right? Anyway, American brainwashing is indeed amazing. South Korea is a prime example. By black pill, I meant like it felt like Asian diasporas don't see how mistreated they are or how voiceless Asian men had. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. But I guess like you kind of have to be. I guess if that's your definition of black pill, then sure, yeah. Like you have to have that negative dialectic. Like the reason I am so knowledgeable about it, I guess, isn't because of like I said, it's not because of personal reasons like dating or stuff like that. But it is personal in a different way, right? Because before politics, before like I got into politics was like 6 years ago, right? I was very apolitical, right? The reason I got into WMAF is because it was affecting me in a different way, right? I was in Hollywood. I was trying to make it as an actor in Hollywood. And then, by observing the kind of way Asian men were treated and Asian women were treated and the way narratives fucking flowed through Hollywood, through just observing Hollywood, just seeing how the fucking industry worked, seeing who was being, amplified, whatever. This is where I started thinking, oh shit, this is something more insidious than I actually first thought about it. Because like the first time I thought about WMAF as a concept was in high school, right? And this was more kind of like a joke because like I grew up in, I feel like I'm repeating this story, but I grew up in a Korean church, right? I grew up, most of my social networks were Korean for the first 18 years of my life, right? Like, yes, I had white friends, whatever, in high school, whatever, but I actually didn't like anyone in high school, right? Most of the people I had crushes on were from church or other Korean people. And most Korean church people don't really go for white people, right? It's kind of this self-contained enclave thing. So for me personally, from a personal angle, I never really even thought about it as a dating thing because I always thought, oh, I'm probably going to end up marrying someone from the Korean church, right? Or some Korean church at some point. And then like when I went to college, same fucking shit. It was actually more Asian people that I met, in my entire life before that because there's so many Asian people on campus, right? So I didn't even fucking interact with white people at all almost at Duke, right? I almost only like exclusively hung out with Asian people. So for me personally, that's why it didn't really register. It was only when I started like, going to Hollywood and talking to people and thinking about these things and like seeing like, hey, yeah, why aren't Asian men getting into roles and blah blah blah, whatever. Well, literally purposely erased, right? And so that got me like researching what was going on, blah blah blah. And then I came out with my TV show that kind of talks about it. Um and then later on, once I became political, now I'm going into the imperialist roots of it. Like, oh, this is why it's a function of imperialism, blah blah blah, whatever. And then kind of like seeing how Asian women who are very visible in American society, they were literally fucking race traders. So I was like, oh, okay, now I'm connecting more of these dots. Now I'm like figuring out what's going on. This was never like, oh, I need to date more white women or like, if that was my fucking goal, like I would just fucking, like I said before, I'm a wealthy, tall fucking person. I started going to raves 10, 11 years ago. And let me tell you, like, hooking up with a white chick, it's like shooting fish in a barrel when you're at a rave, right? And so if I really wanted to, that's what I would fucking do. I wouldn't make content about the WMAF mind virus, right? I just fucking fuck white women, if that was my actual goal, I just do it, But it's funny how people try to just make up shit about me to be like, oh yeah, he's just a rice cell or blah 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 cell. I'm like, right, fine, whatever. I mean, like, and I knew that was gonna come, right? I knew that was coming, no matter what I said. It was always going, because there are, both white men and Asian women who have a vested interest in me not talking about this, right? So I already knew these accusations were going to come at me, but, our success Asian men. What? I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Numbers don't lie, and they hate when you bring up numbers. Yeah, and guess what? I'm a math guy. I don't know if you guys realize that by now, but at the same time, I feel like I am uniquely positioned to talk about this. Because I am the worst nightmare for these Asian women, right? I am like a tall, attractive, wealthy Asian man being like, this is a thing still, right? Because most tall, attractive Asian men, they don't talk about it. They just get married to another attractive woman, whatever, Asian or not, and they move on with their lives. But I'm just kind of like, no. Ain't happening on my watch. I don't care. At this point, I don't even fucking care. That's the thing. Like, people are like, oh, you're an incel, blah, 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 whatever. I already know people are going to say that about me. But I've already decided I don't even care about women or at least women in LA, right? Like, 5 years ago, I was like, or 3 or 4 years ago. What? No. I think 2 years ago, actually. 2 years ago, I deleted all of my apps. I'm just kind of like, I'm done. I don't even fucking want to date anyone here because, like, they're all whatever. But I knew that, like, you're not gonna be very popular with the ladies, Asian or not, if you talk about the WMFI. I understood that. I understood everything going into this. Yet I still did it because I'm just kind of like, this is fucking bullshit. I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care how I look. Why does my nose get so itchy every time I fucking stream? I don't fucking know. Anyway, no one cares about Hollywood anywhere. Everyone glazes China. Exactly. This is still happening. Reacher season 4 pushing WMAF. What's Reacher? Wait, there's Constance Wu projects coming out? Ugh, God. I thought she like... I heard Crazy Rich Asians now is happening as like a fucking TV show. I was like, Jesus Christ, just let it die. It's been 8 years now. Like, You know what happened? Basically, all the fucking Crazy Rich Asians actors, whatever, they were like, oh, we're gonna make it big, blah, 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 whatever it is. And then, like, now they're coming with their tail tucked between their legs, being like, oh, I guess we gotta do this to get big again. You know? Just like all this fucking hubris. They thought they were like the Avengers of Asian America, you know what I mean? And then, like, nobody fucking cares. Good point on China glazing, Hollywood dissing. Yeah. The issue is that Asian men like Justin Lin choose to say cucked to white trash in Hollywood instead of building their own skydance. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, they work for white people, right? They work for Western money. And like you can't really like make a skydance unless you're like, you know, Ellison rich, right? You're Larry Ellison's kid. The issue with Asians, men, or whatever, is that, yeah, you need these billionaire, you need an eccentric billionaire who doesn't care about money to kind of be like, yeah, we need to start our own thing. But unfortunately, that doesn't exist. Asian men or Asian diaspora men who are rich are pretty fucking stingy and pretty fucking, you know, self-absorbed. They don't really care about anything except for increasing their own wealth, which is fine, you know. But that's just the nature of what it is. Yeah. At this point, I can't even blame white trash Hollywood. Yeah. Thing is, you can't even like create those networks in America. You got to create those networks in Asia, right? That's where it's fucking coming from. There's no salvation coming from Asian diaspora in terms of media. It's all going to come from China. At the end of the day, it's all going to come from China, right? Just like Watermelons said. Like, once China makes, like, fucking that Korean War movie, or that... Didn't they make an Iraq War movie or whatever? Or Iraq War film. You know, they're starting to make more of these kinds of, like, content. And that's really what's gonna push the needle. Nothing will ever change from Asian American made shit. Let's just get that fucking out of the way. You should never expect any change to come from Asian America. And I say that as an Asian American myself, you know. Just don't even think about it. It's over, right? It's over. The way we get salvation is through China. It's a common trope when you criticize, yeah, sky is blue at the end of the day. What is your height? I'm around 6 feet, Carrie Lucy. And it's real 6 foot, not the fake 6 foot. I know some people like to exaggerate. My thing is, you as an Asian can suck any man. Just drag me down. Exactly. You're welcome to fuck all the white guys you want. But the minute you talk about me, the minute you talk about Asian men, the minute you talk about Asia, oh, I'm coming for your ass. You know, I'm fucking coming for your ass. Simple shit, but these women choose not to do this. Like, if they never fucking talked about us, if they never fucking wrote the Joy Luck Club, if they never fucking, you know, made past lies, if they never fucking made all this bullshit fucking shit over the past 35 years, then yeah, I wouldn't talk about them either. But they did, so now I will. Why does this keep fucking... Ugh. Damn it. Maybe I'm less black-pilled Watermelon because I've already written the script. I've already produced it. You know, in the past few streams, I've already kind of done that work already. I wrote the whole thing in... I think end of June I wrote the whole thing, or was close to it. And then mid-July I started recording all the stuff. And And so maybe my lack of black pill is like I'm finally gonna be fucking done with this, right? Once I release this thing, I want that to be the end all be all of this fucking discussion. You know, it's a 2.5. I think it's gonna be 2.5 hours. Strap the fuck in. It's gonna be, yeah. I hope it's gonna be impactful. I don't know. I always have my hopes up, and they're always kind of like dashed. So I don't want to get my hopes up again. But I just see so many people fucking talking about it, and they're all fucking wrong, and they're all fucking retarded. And it's just becoming more and more fucking discussion. And it's just kind of like the one people they don't ever ask Asian men, right? You know, they'll always talk, you know, a black man will be listened to more about WMAF than an Asian man will, right? It's gotten to that fucking point where people who have no idea what the fuck they're talking about are treated as authority figures. And it's just kind of like, you know, maybe there's a reason why you ain't listened to Asian men about this. You ever consider that, you know? Dating apps are useless anyway, IMO. Yeah, I agree. Dating apps are supposed to keep you single. Hollywood can't make any new. It's a Ouroboros eating itself. I kind of actually agree. You know, it's kind of like, you know, I talked about Spider-Man last time. I saw Spider-Man on Tuesday. Yeah, and I talked about it on Thursday, but you know, and I already kind of gave my review, but it is this kind of thing where, you know, a society's art is kind of a reflection of what's important to it, right? Of what is its uniting kind of like theme or, you know, reason. You know, it's just kind of like this thing where the best feelings out of films or a work of art for society is something that like makes you feel like it's a universal feeling, like it's everything, everybody feels the same way about it, right? That's why, you know, back in the day when Hollywood was the only game in town, why does this stay? When Hollywood was the only game in town, you know, I think I said this a long time ago in another stream, but like, for example, the movie Independence Day, right? That came out, I think it was like 96, 30 years ago, maybe 94, something like that, 94, 96. But you got to remember, this was when Hollywood was still the biggest thing around. This was right after the Cold War. Or, you know, we were doing victory laps, or, you know, after the Cold War, right? This was when America not only believed that, you know, we were the greatest, you know, by defeating the Soviet Union, but we actually also believed in the smell of our own farts, right? We actually believed that the Soviet Union was this evil thing and that we were the good, right? Everyone drank that Kool-Aid. So when Independence Day came out, it was like, yeah, we would be the ones to save the Earth from aliens, right? Because we're the heroes of the Earth. We literally saw ourselves that way. So in that case, like, that media, even though we look at it now, like I watched fucking Independence Day recently, like I told you guys, and it's fucking cringe as fuck. It's so Zionist. It's so Zog occupied media. It's so fucking cringe, right? But at the time, it was a reflection of what our society thought about itself. And it was like a very accurate reflection of what our society thought about itself. That's why it was so big back then. That's why everyone's like, oh yeah, Independence Day. Yeah, like, oh, that was such a good movie. Everyone felt it was a feel-good thing where everyone, but nowadays you don't have anything like that, right? You have nostalgia, right? You have nostalgia for because like the thing is, the 1980s, 1990s, we had a lot of that stuff, right? We had a lot of those franchises that to be nostalgic about because that was the time when everyone was like, yeah, America and franchises, and we feel good about ourselves. We feel good about all these things going on, even Star Wars, right? We feel good about Star Wars, even though we were the bad guys actually in Star Wars. But we feel good about it because, you know, the Rebel Alliance, we're rebels too, you know, like all this fucking retarded nonsense that we're talking about. But then once 9/11 happens, right? Once the Iraq war happens, once the Afghanistan war happens, once, you know, the housing crisis happens, once all this fucking black pilled shit happens, now all of a sudden America doesn't seem so great anymore, right? All this pandemic, this Epstein files, these whatever, blah, 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 in the past fucking ever since 9/11, you know, America to Americans too has gone downhill, right? Everyone's like, what the fuck is this country? What are we doing? We're, you know, since 10/7 especially, right? Like it's kind of like 10/7 is the first time since the Vietnam War when we literally have to like come to grips with our military being fucking genocidal maniacs. And so when there's a consciousness about this, the media can't talk about that. They've got to distract everyone with like, oh, remember the good old times? Remember the fucking time when you had 3 Spider-Mans and, you know, Tobey Maguire and, you know, all this other stuff. Oh, yeah, remember the X-Men? You know, forget all the fucking Phase 4 shit we did, but the X-Men, you know, remember when that was cool? Yeah, we're bringing that back again. And it's going to be for the MCU this time, so it's not going to be Fox fucking it up. You know, X-Men. Yeah, let's go, right? You have all this fucking nostalgia, especially in the 2010s. It was just nostalgia because there's nothing uniting about what's going on in the past 10, 15 years in American society. Ever since the fucking 9/11 financial crisis, 2008, you know, we had like, you know, the only thing that was uniting us, I guess, was Marvel, right? And the reason that's no longer fucking hitting because Marvel started as literal Zionist propaganda. And now it's like, oh, we don't know if we like that anymore. We don't know if we like this military industrial complex that Tony Stark represented anymore. You know, it's falling a little flat. You know what I mean? Anyway, Constance Wu is still... God. I don't even want to think about Constance Wu. It's funny that TikTok was probably what really broke Hollywood. I mean, it was a combination of TikTok, YouTube, Netflix, of course. It's really like the tech... I mean, like, tech companies are kind of changing of the guard a little bit rather than a full, like, destruction of Hollywood. Like, you know, the Apples, the Netflixes, the Amazons, and now the Larry Ellisons of the world are just going to fucking buy up Hollywood. So Hollywood will still be around, but yeah, it won't have the ubiquitous nature ever again. It will never recapture that thing where, because like not only all those things, but you know, Korean entertainment and Chinese entertainment and all these other places, you know, you got Japanese anime stuff that's, you know, kind of fascist, but you know that it is not American, right? And you got kind of like culture from different areas now competing with Hollywood, right? Let's see. The more Greta and Constance push the retarded project, the more, yeah. Wish I had that problem with tons of money. Operation Red Sea. It's Operation Red Sea. Once upon a time in the Middle East. Oh yeah, that's right, real NYP. That's what I was talking about. Not Iraq, but it's set in the Middle East. Oh, okay. Exactly. The counter narrative would probably never exist, but here we are. Got to cut it into small pieces for Gen Z. Share it in Chinese social media. Could blow up. Yeah, but I heard that it might get taken down, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't need a black dude to speak for me. Yeah, exactly. Black man talking about WMAF, sexually frustrated. Oh yeah, I'm aware of that. Maybe. I think it'll just go viral just because it's this past year everyone's been fucking talking about it, right? Like we've been talking about Asians, we've been talking about white father or white mother Asians or all this other fucking shit. All right, see a real NYP. George Lucas did state that rebel. Yeah, exactly. No one can watch old films anymore because pro-Zog, pro-foreign wars, and bitter economic feel alien to many Americans. Yeah, you can only really watch like old films that are more universal, that aren't kind of like time specific, like historical films or, um, films like for example, I could probably still watch like a Godfather. Um, what else could I watch? I don't know. I haven't watched an old film in a while. But yeah, that's the thing too. Like art, like I said, is a reflection of what society values, right? It's the idealized thing that the society values. But then you know, if we realize that those values were polluted with Zog influence or whatever, that they were Zion like Iron Man, for example, then it becomes a lot less fun to rewatch, right? Because you're just kind of like, oh, this was propaganda. This was, at least a bad taste in your mouth because you realize it was propaganda, right? That's the difference between, I think, in my opinion, art and propaganda. I've been struggling to find a good definition because, like, propaganda has been, it was used positively by Lenin as a term, like agitprop, but obviously the meaning has been kind of like tainted by Western kind of propagandists, right? By saying that propaganda is just media that is lying, A, and B, meant to, affect someone's ideas about something. But any piece of art is meant to affect anyone's ideas about anything, right? But when you understand that it's specifically trying to get you to believe in something, and that something is something you now find abhorrent, then yeah, that effect is going to be pretty distasteful. Sub KCTV 12. How's it going? Seems a trend of foreign worship in China these days, so WMA find virus. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Even your video doesn't work. Me and the many Asians as well. Thank you, Watermelon. I'll once I come out with it, I'm also, I don't know if you guys saw the Breaking Bad video I had, but I did also try to make short clips. I actually didn't even finish all the short clips. There's one short clip I really wanted to make that I think is really good in evidence wise. It's like about Bavaria and the color blue, and the color blue being about ferrous cyanide, which is, the color that apparently cyanide gas turns when it meets iron. And so that's why a lot of the Holocaust gas chambers, they have a lot of Prussian blue on the walls. So, this was like a big smoking gun to me, but I didn't put it in I didn't put a short in it yet. So I'm gonna make shorts like 60 seconds to a couple minutes shorts about, I'm using this AI thing to like clip it. So when I come out with it, I'm also going to be coming out with clips on YouTube and TikTok. So hopefully you can use those to share as well. Art stands the test of time. Propaganda is revealed through the sands of time. Yes, it's a good way of putting it. Liberalism versus communism took decades to fruition. Yeah, I mean, but you got to remember that communism is only 100 years old, right? In its manifest form. Like 1917 was the first time communism ever existed. Like, yeah, sure, Paris Commune, 1971, 1970, fine. But in reality, it's only been around for 100 years, right? Because capitalism was around for centuries before the French Revolution happened. So the forms of feudalism and feudalism governments was around for centuries while capitalism was developing. So it took 300 years for them to kind of like be like, you know what, we're done with feudalism, right? Where you had the bourgeois revolutions and it kind of changed everything. With capitalism, you only got 100 years of it, right? So, we got 200 years, I guess, if we're following the same trajectory to make a difference. But anyway, it'll happen. Or will I die from nuclear fallout? One of those things will happen. Good luck on the video, Doug. If you need any more slides or anything, let me know. Thanks, KCTV. I won't need anything anytime soon, but I might need it once I start because I'm going to be searching for clips and stuff like that, so I might need it once I start editing. But I'll let you know, KCTV. In Boston, the vast majority of attractive Chinese girls aged 35 and below are dating Chinese men. Generation Chinese that came over in the past 10 years do not seem like people. Are those people in Boston, are those first generation or second generation? In fact, they're the ones that are very order. Oh, nice. Yeah, we're already seeing a reversal, like I said. And that's actually part of my video as well. Talking about BTS, I'm talking about China. But yeah. Anyhow, but yeah. Like my title says, I'm on Twitter vacation. I didn't talk about that. I guess it's not that big of a thing to talk about, but I don't know. I just feel like Twitter has become kind of like as bad as it was 4 years ago. Just now under different right-wing management versus left-wing management. I guess I'm going to have to be a little bit more. Because, yeah, once I joined again in 2022, I was like, oh, yeah, Elon's opening the floodgates. I can say retard as much as I want, blah, blah, blah. And I could still say retard, but apparently you can't say jeet. You can't insinuate that Japanese people, might, Asia might exist from their non-existence. You can't say these kinds of things, apparently, so you're gonna have to be a little bit more creative, I suppose. Back when the libs were taking over, for example, instead of retard, there was this like there was like this picture, there's meme of this brochure of like, say it says like the brochure says, so you're retarded, now what? So I put that fucking picture on. Honestly, I think it's funnier. I think that thing is funnier than just saying retard. I feel like retard is a little bit of aggro now that I'm thinking about it. But, when Elon opened the floodgates in 2022, part of my thing was to test the limits. So I just called everyone a retard back then and just kind of like, I don't know, maybe I should change that. Maybe I should use the picture again. Just as a safety hygiene thing, because apparently I gotta be a little bit more obscure with what I'm saying now these days. Funnily enough, I think anti-Japanese content, god damn it, is the only one I got locked out for or suspended for. I made some like anti-Indian content that I was never locked out for, but I had to delete these posts or whatever. Maybe that's the same thing. And for Jewish or Zionists, I already know to like, not say certain Nazi things. I'm pretty clear on those, on the rules of that. I guess I'm just gonna have to be more disciplined going forward. Anyhow, would Asian Americans be treated like Jews during World War II? Was that? I mean, that's been my thesis ever since 2021, actually. Because if you think about it, like, well, I've been researching the Nazis, right? And if you read Mein Kampf, right, Hitler is blaming Jews for two things, right? He says that the Jewish bankers of England and France and America, they profited off the war. So they actually started this war. This was a war between white people. Why are white people fighting each other? This is kind of like what he was talking about. And it's like, oh, the Jewish bankers, they just wanted to profit off war, right? I mean, he wasn't 100% false, right? It wasn't only Jewish bankers. There were British bankers. There were American bankers who were, part of that shit too. And on the other side, he was like, look at what happened with communism. These Jews, they used this ideology to corrupt Russia from the inside, and now it's this husk of itself. Hitler actually believed that communism weakened a country, which is why he thought Barbarossa would only take eight weeks. He believed in in some of his own bullshit. He thought that Jews actually did, I guess, corrupt the Soviet Union with communism, even though Jews only comprised like a very much smaller percentage. Like, they were overrepresented for sure, but it was much smaller than what the Nazis claimed, right? And yeah, so you see the same fucking shit here in America, right? Like, who gets blamed for communism, right? It's Chinese people, or people who look like fucking Asians, right? That's what was happening the entire fucking time. And now we're seeing, the past year or so, like, all this hate against Asian Americans drivers or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I hate a lot of those people too, but they're racializing it as if like it's specific or endemic only to Asian drivers. As if there aren't fucking white drivers, or if there aren't like fucking white people who own the fucking money that control the whole fucking system, So that's why I'm just like, this is fucking Nazism. They want to blame us for both capitalism and communism. Another thing I noticed is Twitter and big tech use censor heavy Asian men or Chinese content. Second generation Asian Chinese women are frumpy looking as fuck. No style and grace. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, that's the thing too. Like, it's like second generation plus Asian American women are even more insufferable than white women when it comes to feminism. You know what I mean? They're like the tip of the sphere of voidism, Not the ones that, like, don't date, but I'm talking about the WMF ones, the ones that want to be white women, basically. They're just, yeah. I swear the Japanese government has a bunch of bot accounts on Twitter. Probably. Yeah, I mean, I talked about this last time, but NBA to me is like, I'm over the NBA. I mean, I was already over it because like LeBron's not LeBron anymore. But like, even if he fucking wins in Philadelphia, it's like, bro, like that team is stacked. So if you don't win, that's like, I don't know. I don't fucking know anymore. I really think he should have just retired, to be honest. But loyal yellow notes of the why. No, communism is caused by people who never experienced communism who are convinced it was good. I don't know what that means, so whatever. Americans can't tell the difference. No point in reasoning with these retards. I don't think Americans really buy all that about China's. Yeah. And a lot of that actually has to do with Chinese hard power, right? I think a lot of Asian Americans were kind of complaining about how China doesn't make soft power, blah, 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 whatever. I understand why now. I think, well, A, they understood that they weren't good at it. Whenever they made propaganda, you know, Americans would clown on it. They would make it seem like, yeah, look, they're just fucking mindless robots that, and you could see it all the time when they make fun of North Korean propaganda, that still sort of has that same sort of like tone and whatever, like those posters that kind of like saying like for the revolution, blah blah blah. It's just like, bro, it's like 80 years later, right? Like, so they understand they're not good at it, right? Or in terms of like convincing Westerners. So I think like once Deng Xiaoping took over, he was just kind of like, yeah, we just need a fucking money talks is basically what he was saying. Money talks, and money is talking right now, right? Money is doing the fucking talking. So that might be why the Trump administration is softening its stance on China. They might recognize, you know what? This anti-China stuff isn't working. So we gotta kind of like play nice with them, just get the Strait of Hormuz shit like fucking under wraps. But let's not stir the pot here because, we're not getting the same feedback from the American public about this anymore. We can't just say Chinaman that, Chinaman this, Chinaman that. Yeah, we might get these retarded boomers to nod along, but the youths are not fucking going along with it. So, forget trying to fucking start a hot war with China. So that might be why things are shifting. And so in that regard, 5 years ago, I was a little, maybe that, I was a little bit more black-pilled about it 5 years ago, but I think, yeah, there is cause for skepticism that we are in the same position as, Jews in 1930s, in 1930s Germany. But I'd like to keep my eye on the situation rather than be complacent about it as well, right? I feel like there's still a lot of racist people out there. There's still a lot of fucking people who hate Asian people in America. That's for fucking sure. And of all different races. So I would not sleep on that as a possibility. Let's see. American elites can push. Yeah. Black Americans talk shit about Asians chasing white proximity are hilarious to me. Yeah, I feel like those are like the fucking retarded black liberals now. And I feel like a lot of black Americans are starting to be sick of black liberals. Again, not 100%, but I do see a shift there. So it's good to see. Did you know LeBron trade from the Heat to the Cavs was 2 exchanging favors? Dan Gilbert invested in Rap Genius. Heat to the Cavs. Are you talking about the 2014? I don't know. I don't really care about that. That's whatever. North Korean propaganda may be cringe, but it ain't wrong. I think hard power takes priority when you are surrounded by military bases. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Wonderful land. Dang, get rich is glorious. It's like y'all can't even compete with JV. Yeah, exactly. You can't even compete with us, right? You know, I'm not even that fucking, smart as, as an Asian American. I grew up in New York, right? And there were plenty of people. I don't know. Now that I think about it, I don't know if they were as smart as me, but they had better stats. They had better stats. A lot of people had better stats than me. I don't know if they were smarter than me, though. But the point is, like, if Asian Americans are crushing you in America and they're going through the same retarded school system you are, you're trying to tell me that you can compete with these Chinese people who are going through, like, the fucking gauntlet? Like, get the fuck out of my face. Western capitalists are realizing future reality of multipolar, adjusting accordingly. Well, I hope it's a peaceful adjustment. I hope it's a Soviet Union type of adjustment so we don't fucking get killed. Chinese supplies rare earth to American military. Imagine going to war against your own supplier. Yeah, that's not happening. DPRK were the biggest haters of Israel before it became fashionable. Well, I think Palestine is probably the biggest haters of Israel. I think Iran was probably the biggest haters of Israel, but yes, I understand your point. What's up, Wi-Fi? I don't care what anyone says about North Korea, but gotta expect their political way of saying fuck you. Yep. 2014 NBA was vanity investment. They aren't really invested in to make money. Yeah. Black Americans going to live through 100 years of bitch please from the Asia Pacific. Deng Xiaoping, Little Steel Cannon. What's Deng Xiaoping, Little Steel Cannon? That's what Black Americans get wrong, right? They were sold a false bill of goods by these liberal fucking retards. Because these liberal fucking retards are zogged, right? I'm going to make a, video about this at some point. But during the civil rights movement, the NAACP was basically controlled by Jewish lawyers. Because they were the ones drafting up all the new laws, the civil rights bills, blah, 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 whatever, doing the kind of like the legal stuff for the civil rights movement. So as a result, a lot of black liberals were Zionists, or they supported Zionism, or they didn't see any problem with supporting Zionism, right? So because of that, you had these fucking black liberals following the same exact blueprint of like trading oppression for brownie points, right? That's what the Zionists did. They were like, we just got to use the Holocaust for our own interests. Black people were like, or black liberals were like, we got to use slavery and, Jim Crow and all this other shit for our interests, right? So once you keep doing that, that means you're going for a soft power strategy, right? You have to make them feel guilty about something that happened in the past to get favors from it, right? So in order to do that, if you're doing a soft power strategy, that's why black liberals and black Americans are obsessed with celebrity culture. Their celebrity culture is everything to them, because like they're like, this is how we gain power. As long as people see us, then they can advocate about black issues on our behalf, like the LeBron Jameses of the world, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And this makes them think that progress is happening, even though these black celebrities and whatever, they're just paying lip service. Or in Obama's case, they're literally just paying lip service, like fake drinking water, right? So in the same way, it's like Zionists, Afro-Zionists, they don't care about the actual black American population. They just care about getting rich themselves. Just like Zionists, right? Before World War II, Zionism was it was a fringe movement. Only rich bourgeoisie Jews wanted Zionism. Why? Because then they could, serve as an imperialist outpost for the British Empire and make a lot of money doing that, right? but also be like, hey, we got a land of our own. That's a country of our own, right? So that's what the Jewish bourgeoisie were Zionists back then, because they knew that they were going to profit off of it. They knew that, and that's what's happening today, right? Who do you think's profiting the most off of this fucking Gaza shit? It's always been like the Satan Yahoos of the world, who, or their consortium of people who can profit off of this shit, whether it be from banking interests or oil interests or weapons interests. They're all positioned to fucking profit off that. So, and so the average, just like that average Zionist Jewish person, they're kind of like being sold a false bill of goods, right? Because they think it's for their own safety and whatever, but it's not. It's really for oil interests and keeping them rich as fuck, or the top the top G Jews, I guess, rich as fuck, right? Same thing with black Zionism or Afro Zionism. It's not designed to like help the average black proletariat or the black, even the lumpen prole. It's just designed to fucking. That's why they don't do anything about black criminality. Like black liberals, they want that black criminality, because you know why? Because if black criminality is high, that means police brutality will always be high, and then they'll always have something to complain about and something to fucking grift on. They want black suffering so that they can fucking profit. That's why Zionists, they want Jewish suffering too, like the Holocaust. They want to make that suffering known all the time, but they also want other Jews, not them of course, but the poorer Jews, to get anti-Semitic attacks on them, so they could be like, look, there's anti-Semitism, blah blah blah, whatever, right? It's the same fucking shit. What do you think about the white meltdown over Asian Americans becoming more confident and proud? I don't know too much about that. What is the white meltdown? Guilt trap. Lumpen culture with hip hop too. That's why they fucking promote lumpen culture too. They like, you have black conservatives being like, no, this is bad. This lumpen culture is bad for the black community. And so I've been kind of like, more sympathetic to black conservatives. Of course, unfortunately, black conservatives are also somewhat pro-military, so it's not all great, and it's not all great there either, but, I don't know. Everyone's fucking, unfortunately, everyone's kind of brainwashed in America. It's just like, what kind of brainwashing is going on? Man, I am itchy. I am getting rashes all over. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. Anyhow, wow, it's already 8:30. Yeah, I guess I'll end here unless anyone else has any other questions. But yeah, I'm only here for another 2 weeks in LA, as I said before. Probably won't stream on the 30th, so the 27th, I believe, will be the last time I stream for probably around 2 weeks. I want to get settled in New York. But yeah, it might be allergic. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's just like a red rash. I roll with black conservatives too. Yeah. In terms of like, yeah. What is your Discord name? I have to do a little bit of vetting. CIA rash. I have to make sure you're an actual Asian guy. So I don't know. Whatever. Just well, I can't talk to anyone from Twitter right now. My DMs are disabled. Sisyphus. Okay, let me try to add you. Oh, you're not accepting friend requests. Wait, who are you, Watermelon? Do I know you? Gonna need to do some vetting. Got some people who hate me, so um yeah, just DM Doug Fantastic, I guess. I'll check it later. But yeah, I gotta figure out who you are, you know. No offense or anything, but I've got a lot of haters and I've got a lot of infiltrators. I mean, fuck. I don't know. There might be someone infiltrating my shit right now, but oh, sup Wonderland 6655. Um but yeah, just DM me there. I'll try to yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to determine if you're Asian or not though. I think I could figure it out. Hyung, I'm not hater. Just DM me if you wanna be on Discord. DM me on Doug Fantastic, and then I'm gonna interview you, ask you a few questions, make sure you're not one of my, I don't know. Yeah. Aside from the takes, they have spot a lot. Yeah, black lip tarts. Exactly. Alrighty. I'll see you guys on Thursday then. All right. See you. I can't reply to my I already said I can't reply to DMs. I'm my thing is locked. You have to DM my Doug Fantastic account since I'm locked out for the next 27 days. All right. Later.